Hi. Hi, come in, please. Thank you so much for coming back.
No problem.
Yeah.
Mika, hi.
We called Dr. Avery's, but he's gone.
Yes, he's out of the country. He'll be back. Wow.
We need your help.
This is overpowering.
It's getting worse.
Yes, it certainly doesn't like that I'm here, and I cannot help you.
What?
In fact, I've got to get out of here.
No,
This
no,
thing is
no,
very
no.
aggravated, the fact that I'm here.
Wait. Everybody calm down. We need your help.
Well, I've got to tell you, I am not the person to help you in this situation. This is not my area of expertise. I think I'm doing more harm being here than any good. Yes, I really have got to leave. And Dr. Avery's will be back in a few days, and when he gets back here, he'll take care of all your problems.
What should we do? Should we leave? Should we?
Leaving won't help at all. Let me see what I can do, but I've got to leave this room right now.
This is no joke.
I will help you, but I can't do this right now.
No.
Serious?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I am joined by my co-hosts,
Abraham
and Nick.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good.
You feeling spooked?
Un poquito.
Just a little?
Just a little bit?
There were some moments where I was spooked.
I was more on edge.
Okay.
I feel like would be the word
That
for me.
makes sense.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think I was more on edge because it's just, I just don't. I couldn't anticipate what was happening, even though like I kind of knew what was happening.
Okay.
But I still was like, oh shoot, what's gonna happen next? Like,
Yeah.
I just was waiting for that next moment.
Yeah.
But I wasn't necessarily scared.
Okay.
There's only brief moments I was scared. Like, I always think about the scenes where, you're sleeping, and then you get that overwhelming sense of, like, someone's watching you. And then to see her just standing there over top of him, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why I got so nervous, but, like, you'd see them in bed, and you see all the time passing, and then you see her, like, get up and walk away, and then she just fades into nothingness, like, all the black. I was like, that's when I started to be like, oh, gosh, what's happening,
Yeah.
Just because what the heck is happening, you know?
Yeah.
Those are the only times I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. Well, if you couldn't tell by the title of the episode, we are getting into the scary
Spooktober.
Yeah. And so we're trying to get ahead of it a little bit and get some more in there, towards the end of the month of September, start of October. And we're going to talk about some of the scarier movies that we're going to be hitting on this month. And the first pick that we have is Abes Pick, and he picked...
I chose the 2007 film, Paranormal Activity.
Yeah. And I was even seeing that there was some conflict with, like, the actual release date, because this movie hit, like, U.S. theaters in 2009.
Oh, really?
I saw that it was recorded in 2006 and then hit theaters in 2009, but I didn't know there was a conflict for it.
So 2007 is when, like, test audiences and film festival goers went and saw the film, and then it didn't get a wide release until 2009, and that's whenever we probably all heard about it.
Dang.
Because I was in about 8th grade whenever I saw the trailers for this film. And
yes.
They terrified me.
I remember seeing, like, it's like that, you know how when they do the night vision and everyone's all green
and
black?
And they're watching it going, yeah.
That's what I remember seeing.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember seeing this movie being super scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. The word of mouth of this movie is insane.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think that's why it's so popular. I also think it's why it's so hated.
Yeah, true.
Because this movie, I think it got hyped up to the max.
Definitely.
This is the scariest movie. I had to leave the theater. I couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
And
the scariest movie of the year.
Of all time. And when you go to the IMDb reviews and you read, like, this is so overrated, so overhyped.
Yeah.
It's because the talk was so much when they go in expecting that and they don't receive it.
Yeah.
This is a what? It's kind of...
Yeah. So I remember seeing the trailers for these on, like, MTV.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I would watch...
Ridiculousness or something?
Or, like, Robin Big or Fantasy Factory.
Yeah. Well, I had to say Wild Boys.
Yeah, or like Nitro Circus. You remember Nitro Circus?
Viva La Bam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I was like glued to those shows for the
Yeah.
longest time, and I would always see the trailers for all the new movies that were coming out, and I remember seeing this one and being terrified.
That's what I'm saying. When you literally said this green screen and the popcorn flying, and I
Yeah.
specifically remember seeing Paranormal Activity being one of those movies like that. And I don't think I watched this movie until I was in like high school. I ain't gonna lie. I was a scaredy cat growing up.
Yeah, me
I still
too.
kinda am. I'll get scared.
I want to ask you guys a question. Why does the same guy do the voice for like every horror movie trailer?
In a world.
No, he's
Like,
always
kinda
like
like that?
he's always like one couple Paranormal Activity. It's always like that, or like I even think of like Sinister rated R. Like it's like, you know, like it's always like that.
He's got the menacing voice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just has that iconic voice then.
Watch.
Rated R.
Now that I pointed that out,
We're all
you guys
gonna
are gonna
notice
hear it
it.
and be like, "Yeah, dude, he always sounds like that."
Is it
Every
what,
rated R
It's the
movie.
same guy.
all the trailer? He's like that trailer voice guy, or what?
Yeah, gotta be. I don't know, but I just noticed they all sound the freaking same. They always do that. They're always like, one couple experiencing paranormal
Oh.
activity.
What's that one where it
in
says,
theaters.
"It's not the house that's haunted, it's her."
That reminds me now of the "We make it look easy." Trapaholics mixtapes.
It's that same guy. It's that same guy.
It's all McLovin.
Yes.
That would be funny. But yeah, I remember seeing the trailers for this and again reminiscing about the trailer and seeing like the night vision footage of the audiences reacting to it and everything, and just being terrified by the trailer alone, and having friends that would come to school and be like, "Oh, did you watch it? I went to the theaters and I watched it, and oh, it was so scary." Oh, you know, just it being the talk of the town
Yeah.
for its release here. And I have to say, I understand why it gets hyped up the way it does, especially around people our age.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, think about it. It's like the biggest scary movie of that year. And it's, you know, it's targeted towards an older demographic, but you've got like middle schoolers and high schoolers who are wanting to be old and wanting to watch things that like they shouldn't be,
Right.
you know, and like if you're the kid that got to go see it, then guess what? Everyone is going to come to you
Right.
and ask you, what was it like? You know, you're going to be the popular kid for like a couple of days because you got to go see the movie that everyone wanted to see.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's the same kids who go to watch this are the same kids that once the power goes out, they scream. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Like right when the lights turn off. So one kid's out there going
Yeah.
for no reason.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of, you know, I think that's what the trailer was capturing too, just people being scared at a door move.
I kind of feel
Yeah.
like they were paid for that.
You think so? You think it wasn't
Maybe.
genuine?
Well, I mean,
no
they definitely
person is gonna get scared enough that I'm gonna throw popcorn in the air
Well,
and scream.
and they definitely have to like sign releases to be filmed.
Yeah, that's
you know?
true.
Like
That's true.
They have to sign those things in order to be included in the trailer or the commercial or
So-
whatever. So
They're for sure getting paid.
who knows?
Maybe.
They're either getting paid or they got to see the movie for free.
Yeah.
You know?
That
They're
would be
like,
goated.
a free showing if
Yeah.
you do this.
Yeah.
Free showing, but you're getting filmed.
Yeah.
I do have a question though. Do you think the found footage aspect of this film makes it scarier?
In a way,
I think I think
that's the whole premise of the movie is found footage for this movie.
Right.
definitely, and I think
Um,
it works
Yeah.
here.
But
But I will say,
Blair Witch 100% is way scarier than this one. I won't watch Blair Witch. I've said it on the podcast like before. I'll say it again. I won't watch Blair Witch Project by myself. I can't.
I agree in the fact that I think Blair Witch is a better film, but I don't know if the Blair Witch Project had the impact that it did on cinema, like Paranormal Activity
no.
did.
No, I don't think
Because
so
when
either.
you look at when Paranormal Activity came out in 2009, how many other found footage films came out the years after?
That's true.
Like
this is true.
so many. I'm thinking of like films like that movie like VHS
Mhm.
or Grave Encounters or like, you know, all these other like found footage style
Do y'all remember the movie
horror films.
Vantage Point?
No.
It's like a
But and this is the thing is like Paranormal Activity, for as polarizing as it is for audiences, it really did cause a shakeup in Hollywood. Like, here is a movie that can come in with an incredibly low budget and turn around and make hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, same with this one.
Like,
yeah,
and it's kind of insane to be able to look at like how, you know, a really good idea can get you however so much money. But then it's also kind of depressing whenever Hollywood gets its hands on an IP and is like, let's run it into the ground.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
destroy
like,
it.
you know.
I wish I could have watched all of them and had a thorough take on every single film.
Yeah.
Should I watch them all? There's 7 movies. I'm on vacation. I got 7 days off. Should I
Might
watch
as
one
well.
a day?
From what I heard, the quality goes down
Yeah,
significantly.
that's what I've heard as well.
So it would be interesting to hear if they actually do it from
Maybe
your
I'll watch
Yeah.
the second one tomorrow.
But I just don't think this movie works without it being found footage.
Me either.
I
No.
don't think it works.
Me either. And I think that's why the found footage aspect here is so great, actually, because think about this film being filmed as a traditional movie.
Yeah, well, you got
You
like
know.
cameras in the corners of each room.
Yeah,
and I don't know how it would.
It just wouldn't work, I don't think.
No.
And I think that the found footage aspect of it makes it feel that much more real in the
Mhm.
same way that it did for the Blair Witch Project. And, you know, it feels like you are watching like CCTV footage of like doors opening and closing on their own, people getting dragged out of their beds, people getting flung at the cameras.
Yeah.
You know, things being set on fire by themselves with no one around, or like being able to look at somebody and being like, I feel something right here, and then seeing their hair go like move, you know, and stuff like that. Like the found footage through the lens of found footage makes it feel that much more scary because it feels like it's real.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels like I am watching security cam footage of something happening right now.
Yeah.
You know.
Something like it could happen to me. I feel like this movie might be a little bit more accessible, or a little bit more relatable than Blair Witch, because whenever I watch Blair Witch, I'm like, okay, well, if I was in that situation, I'd be scared. I will most likely never be lost in the woods.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so it's scary only in that context. If I ever was out there, which I don't see very likely for myself. But this is more like,
This is also kind of more believable in a sense.
a little bit. It's, well, you gotta believe in paranormal stuff, but this is
But
more
no,
like,
but I'm saying like, obviously it's fake, but it's like, but I'm saying it's like, in a way for like, comparing like the Blair Witch Project, like, I'm not gonna really believe that.
well, it's kind of the same in my book. But what I'm saying is, like, I feel like
I don't
we
know.
all had what we believe, or, you know, what we can only say is a paranormal like a paranormal event. Like, you see, you know, you're laying in your bed and you look in the corner and you see a shadowy figure, but maybe it's just your clothes, like,
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
weird way.
It's Randall from Monsters
It's your
Inc.
clothes on the clothes chair.
But you
Yeah.
sit there and you're like,
Oh
what
shit!
is that? What is
That's
that?
your.
Yeah.
That's just your.
So,
Yeah.
you know, you can almost empathize with this lady, seeing like, oh, I've been in that situation, or it's a little bit more like, I could see that. I could be in bed hearing footsteps.
Well, yeah, like it's
Yeah.
just like,
hearing screeching.
imagine
Yeah.
this happening in your house,
Yes.
and then like
And
you
it
said,
almost kind of has, like, I've lain in bed hearing like creaking, or hearing like
oh yeah, 100%.
someone outside yelling, or like,
Yeah.
you know, like something hit the window, like,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there. So I can almost imagine how she feels. I'm relating a little bit more to her situation because I have more likely been there.
Okay.
So I'm maybe that's the reason why this did so well, is because people are like, I've been there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I get you there. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, like we mentioned, we're talking about Paranormal Activity. It was released in the U.S. around 2009 and is rated R. What's the premise of the film, Abe?
The premise of the film, so basically, it is about a couple in this.
I think
I
in,
want
like
to say
San
Southern,
Diego.
yes,
Yep.
San Diego area.
2006.
Yeah,
Is whenever it was
yeah.
It was
filmed.
filmed
Yeah,
in 2006. It's about this couple, and basically they're experiencing some paranormal stuff, paranormal activity.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Do the Leo meme.
Some paranormal activity in their house, and they're trying to see if they can figure it out what it is, deal with it, and move on with their lives. This is just, it's like a little, it's just bothering them and it's interrupting their day-to-day life. And so their goal is just to figure out what's bothering them, find a solution, and then carry on with life. And we get to see what happens when you don't listen to a doctor or a
You play with fire, you get burned.
You get
Yeah.
freaking burned,
Mess with the
man.
bull,
You
you
get the horns.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And so basically, you get to see what happens when you go against a
yeah.
Demon.
demon.
You want to know something too that it kind of blew my mind today. I went into work today and I was talking to some coworkers and they were like, "Oh, what'd you do the podcast on?" And I was like, "Oh, well, we watched Paranormal Activity, and we're recording later tonight." And my coworker, who is like a horror fiend, she was like, "Oh yeah, Paranormal Activity's pretty good." Blah blah blah. And she was like, "The movies that I get scared of are like, The Hills Have Eyes."
Really?
And stuff like that. And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yeah, I can do like the supernatural, paranormal, like demonic exorcism stuff. That doesn't scare me. But like when you get me like near like monsters that like can overpower me and like hurt me, that's what's scary to me." And I was like, I couldn't be more opposite from you.
Yeah, I know
Like-
you're
like,
not a
if-
fan of this kind of stuff.
No, not at all. But if I said like if you could put me in a situation where I could potentially have a fighting chance against the thing that is trying to hurt me, I'm taking that over something that I cannot see.
an unforeseen,
Like an unforeseeable force that is going to do anything and everything to overpower you and potentially like overcome you
Yes.
versus something that I could like maybe fight
Dude.
like and see it coming.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to take that 100%.
Yes. There are so many times in this movie where I was like, if I was the guy, I'd just start swinging. I'd just go like I had nothing. You know what I mean? Like I'd just be like. So I get it. If I had a chance, I'd take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm for sure I'm way more scared of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like your spirit talking. Like this is like a realm that we hardly understand.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So it is not currently streaming anywhere. I think
Yeah,
whenever
it was
I think
last week.
whenever we mentioned it, maybe it's because the new month came, but whenever we mentioned it, I thought it was streaming on like Pluto TV for free or something like that.
That's what I had remembered on.
But apparently it's not anymore. So unfortunately, if you haven't seen the film, you'll have to rent it from any streaming platform that you get your streaming from. I think I rented it on Vudu for $3. But on Apple TV, it's like $4 or something.
That's where I rented it.
So,
I moved off of Nick.
so if you want to watch it anywhere, then unfortunately you'll have to rent it if you're looking to stream. But if you have it physically, pop it in the old Blu-ray player or the DVD player.
I think I own the second one.
Take a trip down memory lane if it's something that you've seen. And if this is going to be new to you, then obviously there's going to be spoiler warnings ahead because we are going to get into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, go check it out. Tune back in to hear what we have to say about it. If you don't care about spoilers, then continue listening. But as always, we're going to get into our first category, which is favorite scenes.
Yeah, I do want to say from the top, I don't have any favorite scenes because this is kind of a hard movie for that. But I do want to talk about the opening because there is no like introduction to this movie.
Yeah.
The introduction that we get is a thank you to the police department from the families of the movie.
Yeah, and it's a statement, an opening statement from Paramount Pictures that owns the rights to the film. And I think that leads just so much more to like the realism that they're pushing for here, where again, you get no opening credits or closing credits. So no one appears as an actor in the credits of the film. There's no credits at all. So whenever it opens, it's like Paramount Pictures would like to thank these families involved and for letting us use the footage for the picture that you're about to see. Thank you to the San Diego Police Department for their cooperation and for letting us use the footage.
I'm gonna see if I can find it.
It's like real.
Yeah, so like it immediately when you watch it, you're like, oh,
Did this happen?
this feels like it might be a true story.
Yeah.
Like if they're thanking people for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we immediately get shown Mika, who his name should be Micah, the way it's spelled.
No clue.
I mean, you can say it, Mika. I would say.
Yeah, but we get Mika, who is like fiddling around with this camera that he just bought from Best Buy, and we get introduced to his girlfriend named Katie, and we immediately get thrown in to them to the reason why they bought the camera in the first place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it eventually is like, hopefully this will be able to help us deal with all the paranormal stuff that we've been seeing and feeling and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So we like immediately get thrown in and get told that there are things going on in the house that they can't explain, and they want to capture it on film
Mhm.
to substantiate their claims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so basically, that immediately you're already in this scene. You're just like, okay, there's already something going on, and you're already like, what the heck is happening? So that's why I kind of like this. It's not a favorite scene, but that's why I kind of like this movie, because you're already wondering, like, he's already adamant of capturing this, whatever it is, and I want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to see it because he's
Yeah.
so like, he thinks he's the macho man,
He does.
and it's like, I got this camera, like it's gonna work, but then
Yeah. You know what? The more I think about it, the more I like it too, because it sets up the limitations of the camera, basically our eyes, because you see him like zooming in and getting her to whisper so we can
Dude.
hear the smallest of creaks in the house, you
Yeah.
know. He also, as he sets it up, he turns off the lights and sees, well, what can you see? And then he goes into that bathroom or that guest room and turns on that light, which shines, and you can see there. So it's like giving us our parameters. What can we view? What are we going to expect to be looking at throughout this scene? And is there moments where we might be able to squint and see something creep in, or squint and just see a shadowy figure? It's like it's given us that limitation.
yeah,
Which I think is interesting.
I really like the scene too. A little bit further on is when him and Katie are about to go to bed before the night after the first camera or first day, and he goes across the room and says whisper, like you said, and he's like, oh, I think I caught that. And it's so cool because you get the limitations of the camera, and you see that, like, okay, like this camera can capture stuff from far away, like, oh, it's not rigged.
Yeah.
Like, so that's something that I really did enjoy, because one, something about me is I grew up watching a lot of like ghost TV shows, so seeing this and then kind of comparing it to that was like, oh, it kind of makes sense. It works.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: did this couple deserve what they got because they slept with the doors open?
No, no,
Because I don't know anyone else sleeping with the doors open.
Especially the bedroom doors.
Yeah.
I like to keep that
I'm
job.
shut.
I'm
closed.
trying to close, but
They might have done that just so they can capture whatever, which was my thought.
What's gonna make you think that they're not gonna open the door when they slam doors?
That's also true. I don't know.
Yeah.
They deserve it in a lot of other ways. I'll say that. They kind of deserve their haunting.
Oh, some of the stuff that happens to them, they deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this kind of, I don't also have any favorite scenes, but there are scenes where the ghost is present in very minor ways at the beginning. Like you hear,
You see the door go.
or you hear like,
The keys coming out of the floor.
right, the keys
Yeah.
falling off the counter.
Or you hear thumping.
Yeah, thumping. Or you hear like a faucet turn on when it's downstairs, or
Yeah.
and it's there very small ways at the beginning, but still there's a presence.
There is, yeah, and it doesn't get bad until he taunts him.
It doesn't get bad until I think after they call I don't know what they call him. Is
They
it
call him just a doctor for
I forget his actual title.
Yeah, what is his title, dude?
Well, at first they call a psychiatrist or like a psychologist.
Is that the guy who comes over?
That's the guy who comes over, and he's
Okay.
like, I can't help you with your problem. I'm gonna get you in touch with a guy who can.
Yes,
and
yes,
he's like
yes,
a
yes, yes.
demonologist, is what he called.
That's kind of a funny name, huh?
Yeah,
A demonologist.
yeah.
Um,
Like that could just be thrown at the end of everything,
that a real
and like
thing,
it sound
though?
official.
ologist. Yeah.
I don't know. LaCroixologist.
That's
That's
me.
me.
That's me. Right?
I'm a Topo Chicoologist.
Yeah, seriously. But no, it's really not until he taunts him and is like, "I'm gonna
It's
try to
true.
figure this thing out," where the demon starts to show itself in a bigger way.
Yeah.
Um,
It starts singing that weekend song, the "Let Me Show Your True Colors."
It says the requirements. The requirements for a demonologist requires you to have an OS Windows 10 64-bit processor, Intel 5. It's a game.
I
Oh,
was about to say what?
No, but a demonologist is a real thing.
okay.
It
It's
is
kind of crazy.
okay. They
Yeah.
do like I thought it was the priests
Says-
that do
It's a
exorcisms. and
demonology is
stuff.
the study
I
of
don't know.
demons within religious beliefs and myth.
Interesting. Yeah,
Crazy.
it.
What the flick?
They should have called that guy
What the flick?
ASAP.
Yeah.
First,
Yeah, like without a doubt, right after they see the door moving.
Yeah, I feel like that would be the first thing I do. like that's the same thing as me being like getting a diagnosis from a doctor and being like, "Hey, if you don't do something about this thing, you're gonna die." Then I'd be like, "Okay, I'm calling the appointments. I'm attending.
getting my
Immediately
stuff done.
making the change.
I'm doing things to make the change, so that way I can like, curb whatever it is that's gonna be hurting me."
Yes.
But this guy, freaking Mika, in his pride, he's like, "Oh, we'll be fine.
We got
Let's
this.
keep filming it."
Yeah.
And then walking around and being like, "Is that all you got?
dude,
Show
oh,
yourself."
that's
Yeah.
what.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what. Yeah.
frustrating. It is
Yeah.
super frustrating. My favorite scene comes to when I don't remember exactly when in the film is, but it's when she kind of first gets possessed, or her very first sleepwalking scene.
When she walks
when she's
outside?
just staring at the bed and then
Yeah.
like, walks outside.
That's the first time I really felt the tension because she like, it looks like she's being possessed, but I think it might just be is she being possessed?
I think she's sleepwalking.
Yeah, she has to be or something.
Or I don't think she's possessed.
Gosh, and it's so creepy because she wakes up and she almost is like in a drunken stupor and she's like stepping around and then she just stands
for like an hour.
An hour.
hours, dude. It's like, and the camera speeds up to show the time, but she's just standing there like
Yeah.
rocking back and forth. I was like, what is her plan? What is
Yeah.
happening? And then it gets to be around like 3 or 4 o'clock and she turns and walks out the door
Yeah.
and you just see her fade into nothing
yeah.
and goes down. And I was like,
Yeah.
and then in the next scene, you get to see Micah is like he's got the camera and he's like, Katie,
Yeah.
where are you?
Well, because what makes him get up again?
I think just
I forget.
her presence not there, or
Yeah. Maybe he just doesn't feel her there in bed.
Yeah, but it's so weird.
yeah, it's weird. I thought something was gonna be really bad gonna happen, but he goes out, he finds the door is open.
Yeah.
I'm like, what now? You
Yeah.
know, what is this demon doing now?
He's like, "Oh man, Katie got out."
yeah. Or maybe there was a pool back there, she'd be drowning or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
there was a pool.
I didn't know what to expect, and then he goes out there and sees her just rocking on a chair, freezing cold outside,
Yeah.
and she's almost still in like this, like not
Like
there
daze.
state. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, leave me alone, get away from me, I'm okay, leave.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to come out here and sleep with you. Like, let me go get you a blanket.
Yeah.
And when when he goes inside to get the blanket, and then he hears, it's the TV turns on.
Yeah. And he's like, "What the hell's going on?"
And he
then-
goes upstairs to check the TV, and then she's behind him.
Yeah.
I was like,
That made me kind of
Yeah,
jump.
that made me jump.
wouldn't you just go whoop
Yeah, I
right in her
would
face?
I would have punched. Like, I'm not joking. And that made me jump. And it was one of the scares that actually did work for me because it wasn't like a jump scare.
No.
There wasn't any like loud noise or anything like that. But all of a sudden, she just kind of appears.
It's just something that would
And-
genuinely scare you, though. Because if I was talking to Isaiah in the kitchen, I go to my room and say I left my room door open, and he randomly shows up behind me.
Yeah. You don't expect him.
Yeah.
I'm jumping up. Like,
yeah.
so that's why I think again it works because we experience that on the daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then after that, it goes in the morning. I think
She just doesn't remember anything
she
that
doesn't
happened.
remember
Yeah.
anything, and he like shows her like this is what happened. Like you did this and you don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
And then finally, I think they'll do anything, and this is when he's stupid and pulls out the Ouija board,
The
right?
Ouija.
Yeah, I think so. He's like, maybe
and
we just gotta talk
after
to
he
this
promised not to bring one in,
He promised not to buy one.
buy one. Yeah,
what
he
it
promised
says.
not to buy
He's
one.
like, I didn't buy it. I borrowed it.
Which,
Yes.
which I think is
Stupid.
worse.
One of my favorite quotes.
Yeah.
Which I think is worse. But then he gets it, and obviously she gets upset, as I think I would too. One, why are you playing with such a stupid thing like that?
Yeah.
And then two, the psychic literally said, you're inviting that thing in. You're opening whatever, just trying to communicate to it.
Yep.
So don't do it.
Yeah.
And then it like lights on fire when they're gone, and it's
Dude.
crazy.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know, it was a little nerve-wracking too when like she gets pissed and she's like, I'm leaving with or without you, and he leaves and the camera is still filming
Yeah.
and you just see that thing go.
Yeah, moving.
I was
Yeah.
like, what is it spelling?
What
what
do
is
you think?
happening?
Yeah, I wish we got what it said.
Well, it ends up spelling that Diane.
Yeah.
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
it, or
yeah, yeah.
something?
Or he's it's yeah. I think he's it's all the letters and he's
Yeah.
trying to figure like Ida or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was Diane.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, because it leads him to a website
Yeah.
about
A
a
woman,
girl.
a woman who had a similar, like exact
T.
similar story to her, and she ended up like dying from possession. Didn't
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
she? Yeah. Crazy.
And then again, I think I actually skipped it. He even goes to taunt this thing.
Recording it, trying to ask it questions.
Yeah, like he's dumb. The boyfriend's dumb.
dumb.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think about the plan of baby powder?
I kind of didn't like it.
I mean, it is kind of smart.
It is smart, but I didn't like it because I didn't want to know that it had 3 legs.
Did it have 3 legs?
Well, if you look at the footprints, it looks like it's got like
It's got a 3rd leg.
no,
Like
3 toes. Like,
it's like a hoof. Like it looks like a hoof.
yeah, like I
How do you explain it? It's more alien-like, huh? It's kind of. It looked like a tri.
more
You
like
didn't-
a
you know what I'm saying?
triangle. Like it's like a. I don't know.
You like the more mysterious aspect of
Yeah,
this?
because then I wouldn't. Then it makes me think, oh, it's like a creature. It's not like a ghost or anything. It's not.
yeah,
It becomes more something that's like.
like tangible, like you
Yeah,
can
like
kill it.
yeah, like you can kill it because you see the footprints. Like you're like, oh, then like if I see the footprints, I could throw freaking baby powder on the thing and see the outline of it.
Yeah.
Then.
or something
Oh
like that.
yeah, that makes sense. It's
Because and that's something I
Can antique it. They like throw flour on people.
that's what I'm saying.
Calling antiquing.
oh
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, and start smacking it like signs with the bat.
Imagine, dude.
But
If it was like a physical being.
Yeah.
but then obviously it's a demon, and but like when I think of paranormal stuff, I don't think of stuff like that. I think of like a ghost. So that's something that I didn't. I hate to say it so early on, but I didn't like it
I get
because
it.
of that.
I will say I did like the aspect of Mika being able to confront Katie with the film and being like, "Look, this is what you did,"
Yeah.
and like showing her like you
Yeah.
were like just standing here and then you left for like after like an hour, like you don't remember any of this, and she's just like, "No."
Well, it goes to
I think that that's a really interesting part of the film that they were able to look back at what we saw
I
as
know.
well and be like, "Okay, this is what we saw." And then being able to move forward from it, like, and being able to reference the own film.
Yeah, they have like physical evidence
Yeah.
of a paranormal activity happening.
Yeah.
God, dude, if I ever caught Lisa just standing above me, like I would be like, all right,
I'm calling the police.
I'll go to stay with my brothers. I'm gonna die. You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like that's a threat.
Yeah.
So he was brave to still sleep next to her.
Yeah.
But the baby powder scene I think was interesting because
I do like the idea of it. Don't get me wrong. The idea is smart. And seeing the scene, because doesn't the scene like wake her up?
I can't remember.
Because it wakes him up in the middle of it wakes her. Yeah, it wakes her up. But I think it like grunts and she hears it. Because she goes.
Oh yeah, it like gets in her face almost because you see a shadow on the door.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You do. You see that shadowy
Because
figure.
and she like hears the grunt or like he feels the breath, wakes up, and then that's when they notice that there's footprints.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
Then
The-
oh,
I think the editing is sweet because you see the footprints just
Get made. Yeah.
and then he goes. It's so smart too. He even goes to say like there's footprints
he
in.
follows them.
There's footprint. There's
If they
footprints
stop
in,
here.
but there's not footprints out.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy when you think like you hear the thud, you hear like a dum dum dum, and then you
Yeah.
see the light turn on,
Yeah.
and you see it turn off, and then you follow the footprints where it's kind of coming from. Because I was looking at the staircase,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
thinking
me
like,
too.
am I gonna see something?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just see the footprints pop up, and I'm like, oh crap! I was just surprised at how they did it
Yeah.
because you don't see anything; they just appear like
Mhm.
it's stepping.
Yeah.
And then this scene actually kind of caused me more stress because they find out where the demon came out from or whatever, and it's the attic. It's kind of like there,
Mm-hmm.
and he finds a picture of Katie.
Cajones on Mika
Yeah,
right here
one.
is
Going up in the attic.
he's
never
so
s-
brave. Honestly, he's brave for no reason.
Yeah.
2 reasons I would not go up there. One, I'm
Ooh.
scared I'm not gonna fall. I'm gonna fall through the attic.
Oh yeah,
Two.
that's a possibility.
Well, how is he brave enough to leave Katie there when there's a demon?
I know. I know. And the whole time she's like,
Come
"Don't
down,
go,
please.
don't go." You know,
Yeah.
come back.
Mika,
And then
Mika.
he doesn't
fine.
answer either
And
for like a couple seconds too. I'm like, "Oh, come on."
Yeah.
He
He gets
got
you,
it.
and he goes, "I'm fine." But he finds that picture of Katie, of her in front of the house that burned down when she was 8 years old.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kind of crazy. And then the door slams, and I get stressed here because you're charging. I don't know.
Well, you think about the positioning of the picture too. It's like where it's positioned in the attic would be right above their bed, and I just imagine like a being up there just, like I don't know. I just imagine
walking
like
back and forth.
like just like a
Sounds like a jockey
Yes.
from Left 4 Dead 2.
I don't know why I'm imagining.
They did
But-
hear snarls in the night, or they hear growls, like
Yeah.
light growls. So he literally could be.
But just mulling over that picture of her like it's been around her entire life. And this picture that it's weird because it's a picture that should not exist, just like she said. It should have been burned up with the rest, but this ghost somehow
Has a hold of it.
has a hold of it. And it's just like waiting for its chance to get her.
Yeah.
I think is it's creepy because it's more immediate of a threat, and it's more personal too. Because at this moment, I don't know if we know about the whole. Do we know already about Diane first,
Yeah, we already know about
or is
that.
that after? We already know about that.
Because no, we don't. Because that's the same night. No, we don't. We don't know about Diane yet.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels more personal to her because she does say, as I was 8, we had experiences like this. But then to get that confirmation that it's the same freaking being, it's the same thing that's been following her entire life, and it's still got the picture of her from when she was 8.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little bit more like this thing knows you
Yeah.
and is wanting you.
Yeah.
So, got me a little bit.
Creepy.
Yeah.
All right. Any other favorite scenes here?
Not really. Do you want to talk about the ending?
I mean, we can in the bro moment category.
Yeah, that is true.
Because I don't have any favorite scenes either. It's all bro moments for me.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next category then.
All right. Any best quotes here then? I'll say it. This movie's not quotable.
You don't think it is?
I don't think it is. Other than
No.
like why is it always in like these films like the guy is like, I want to film us doing it. Like,
Yeah.
like other than him being like, I'm pretty sure what we just did is illegal in Kentucky and
Yeah.
20 other states. Like,
Try to be relatable. Try to
Yeah.
be like,
yeah.
it's funny. No, I had obviously I borrowed the Ouija board. And then Micah says, what if we get a Ouija board and try to find out what it wants, and then we give it what it wants, then it's gone. She's trying to talk to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist says, because what it wants is probably Katie.
Hmm.
Which I was like, yeah, that's true.
Dude, tell me you didn't feel bad. That's a bromance.
My last favorite quote is when there was that, like, they were trying to leave the house, and she's up in bed going to sleep, and he's like, come on, let's go, we're ready to go. And she's like, no, I don't want to leave anymore. I think we should stay. And then he's like, I don't understand. He leaves, and then she's like, smiles, and then you hear this distorted voice of her saying, I think we'll be okay now.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Weird. Because you hear it's like a molding.
It's like like her vocals are like double layered.
Yeah. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
I
I don't have anything quotable either.
That's it.
All right. If that's it for the best quotes, then let's move into bro moments.
The boyfriend's trash. He's the biggest bro moment ever.
Yeah.
He's trash.
Yeah, Mika is so unlikable.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of crazy how unlikable
Almost like he
is.
can be the antagonist of the story because he's making everything worse for Katie.
Yeah, it's true.
Because anything he does doesn't work in his effect besides the flower.
Yeah. My first bro moment was seeing that they just sleep with sheets.
They take. I was worried. Why did they do that?
It's the summer. It's September, October by the beach.
They don't got. You live in San Diego, which is like it's pretty nice weather, like all the time.
Yeah, because they had a really nice spread on it, and then they just take it off
and wear just sleep with sheets.
And then I thought to myself, wait, is that how people do it?
No,
that's not how people do it.
Not me. I need blankets. Like I need a comforter.
Yeah, their top sheet is thin too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, the next one for me is just also hearing that Katie has had these experiences since she was 8.
Yeah.
And she like goes into detail about how like her and her sister, always had these experiences with one another. Yeah. It was pretty crazy.
What about when the freaking psychiatrist comes back and he's like, yo, I can't be here right now.
He's like, there's a presence here. It doesn't like me here. I gotta go.
I'm out of here.
Can't help you. I can't help you.
And dude, honestly though, it was funny because like they had just experienced real threats.
Yeah.
And it felt like he was their only hope.
Yeah.
And he gets in there and he's like,
I shouldn't even be here.
This
right
thing's
now.
pissed that I'm here.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that we see whenever he's playing like the audio clips and you hear like,
yeah,
like
he's like, was that you grunting at me?
Yeah, we see him straight up using Audacity, and I laughed hard because I saw that and I was like, that's what I used to edit the podcast.
Familiar.
Yeah, it hasn't changed a bit from 2009 until 2023. It still looks the same.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's so funny. Obviously the big one here, him borrowing the Ouija board.
Stupid.
Yeah, and
It's a
then
huge
right
bomb,
after
man.
it turning on a fire by itself.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna
That's
burn the house down.
insane. Yeah, because immediately I thought it was gonna burn the house down because Katie goes to say when this thing was coming around, like my house magically burned on fire, and she said, "I'm not saying this thing did it, but my house burned on fire."
Yeah.
And then she was saying it now, like, and then seeing this and just remembering, like, oh, she said the house burnt on fire. Just made me think this house the house might catch on fire.
Yeah, it was a possibility for me. I thought it would have.
Yeah. I also thought that afterwards, whenever it sets on fire, you hear like thumping and like something's like running away. And I thought it was funny in just the regard that like it felt like it was like a little kid. It did something that was like mischievous and then ran away from it like
ooh, they're gonna be so scared.
Yeah, like it felt like that with like the footsteps when it ran away, and I was laughing at that.
That's so funny. What about her actually getting dragged away?
Yeah,
that's so
like her getting pulled out of bed and dragged.
That's a fear of mine.
Yeah, that's where like I would get scared from the trailers. I would see that and be like, dude, nothing is touching her, and she's getting dragged away. And I saw that in 8th grade.
Yeah,
I was like, oh hell no.
Like you see her foot getting pulled out, and then she slides down. Oh,
yeah.
Micah gets up, the door closes right as
Dude,
he's
and
going
she
in.
doesn't wake up automatically. She wakes up until she hits the floor.
Yeah.
Until you hear the thud of her going, boom. She literally goes, Mika, and then
screams. Yeah.
no, that's my fear. If I have a blanket on, Both feet have to be covered. I can't have a blanket.
I need something to regulate. I gotta regulate.
No, that's why that's why I'm shirtless, or I have my hand out of my blanket.
I sleep in my chonies, but I also gotta have a foot out.
I can't.
But do you have a foot dangling over the bed?
No.
That's where I'm. That's where I'm like, nah.
No, dude. Then the thing could get me from under the bed.
That's what I'm saying.
I gotta move the blankets so that my foot can like be on the bed, but have some blankets out of it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, last night slept with my feet in.
Good. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I can't sleep with my feet out. I can't.
I think the last bro moment for me was freaking Katie getting up like the Undertaker.
Oh yeah,
Like,
when she just
goes
like
gets up
like the dude from the
from WWE.
Yes.
Yeah, she got up like the Undertaker, and I half expected the announcers to be like, "Whoa! Oh my God!" You know, I was yeah. Whenever she gets up and then is like standing there and starts doing the little dance thingy, yeah, and then I mean ultimately that leads to the end.
Yeah, I think isn't that when she gets bit as well? Doesn't she have like a big bite mark?
She gets bit when she gets dragged.
Yeah, she gets bit whenever she gets dragged.
Okay, that was a bro moment for me.
And maybe that's the point of possession. I don't know.
That might be the point of
Sunk
possession.
her teeth into her. I don't know. He gave her a little bit of, and got her.
Mm-hmm.
What?
The fact he went.
Demons are freaks,
know,
man.
yeah, they
Demon
are.
time. He went
Yeah.
demon time.
Demon time.
Demon time. Demon time. That was those growls. He was. Oh, never mind. I don't want to think.
That's a different movie, man. That's a
Yeah.
spoof movie right
That's
there.
Paranormal Activity. I saw a spoof called that. Whenever I looked up the film to rent it, that came up actually for the trailers. Whenever I looked up Paranormal Activity, you know, whenever you search on Google and it will say like it'll play scenes of the trailer.
Right.
I was looking at it, and there were scenes where like women were just going whoosh, and like showing their bra and panties, and I was like, "This is in the movie? What is this?" And I showed it to Alexa, who had seen it before, and I was like, "When is this in the film?" And she was like, I don't know." I clicked the trailer, and it says Paranormal Activity 2018.
Don't look it up.
It's a spoof film about how like this couple tries to do it every time, and every time they do it, some paranormal entity like interrupts them.
What?
Yeah, and I was like, "What the hell?"
It's got a
is this?
2.4. That's wild.
Yeah, I thought that was wild. But then, yeah, obviously the ending where Mika ends up meeting his demise, which kind of, you know, feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Because the entire time he's just been a piece of trash to not only Katie, but also just in general. Like, and that's one of the things that I just don't like about him is that I really truly never understand what his thought process is. Like, there are points where it feels like he believes in this entity and he wants to capture footage of it, and then there's other points where he's like, it's all fake. You know, and then there's other points where he's like, "Oh man, maybe we really got something here."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Okay, well, let's do something about it to get it to go away." And he's like, "Oh wait, you're gonna call that quack? That he's fake. He doesn't even know what you're doing. He's a snake oil salesman." And it's like, okay, do you believe in this stuff or don't you? Like, I don't understand what your motivation is here.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't
that's
make sense.
why I kind of agree with you, but I also kind of feel like I want to defend him in a kind of way, because maybe he's scared. Maybe he was like, "Oh yeah, like I'm gonna get this thing on video," and then when push comes to shove, and this thing is coming at him, he's scared. He doesn't know what to do. So that macho man that he was is gone, 'cause he's pooping bricks right now.
So like too little, too late, though.
Yeah, but even then, like, he goes on to like, even whenever they do scare them, he like provokes it, and is like, "Come on, is that all you got?"
You got a point.
Show
You know?
yourself.
You
Yeah,
got a
doing all
point.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. He's a trash person.
He's
He
trash.
is.
He's like,
trash.
it's just not a good character.
No,
He
I-
doesn't help Katie at all.
No.
yeah, and he almost blames her. That's where I start to lose respect when he starts to be like,
This
"Oh,
is
you're
your
the one who
fault."
brought this into
Yeah.
this.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's
It's
a
here
bro
because
moment.
of you." I'm like, God, come on, man.
Yeah.
Such a big moment when he blames it on her.
Yeah.
I mean, it is her fault, but
Yeah. But then, obviously, the end, whenever he ends up getting killed, and we
Yeah.
don't
which
see
ending
it.
do you get? Did you watch?
The theatrical end.
It gave me an option of what to rent. Did
Oh,
it give
really?
it to you?
No.
It gave me. It said, you go to press rents or whatever. It said, I think it said which option, and it said the theatrical cut or the alternative ending, and I was like, which one should I choose? So I chose obviously the theatrical cut because I feel like that'd be more what everyone had seen.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's interesting that there was a couple planned.
Yeah, which I'm sure we'll talk about. In
We'll talk about it.
But yeah, any other bro moments here? How about whenever she freaking throws
With the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
The camera, or she throws him?
When she throws him, like into the camera.
Yeah.
I thought that was cheesy
Yeah.
because
A little predictable as well.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was predictable.
I thought it was cheesy whenever like it topples and she goes up to the thing and like smiles at it.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And then goes like, you know.
It's just like I thought she was gonna start to eat him or something.
That's what I thought. Whenever she like got down on her knees, I was like, is she gonna eat him?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening right now?
She was gonna go demon time on him.
Yeah, and then she goes demon time and like smirks at the camera and gets this like demonic like
Kind
little
of.
thing, and then the film ends.
Yeah.
I was surprised because I think that's in the trailer.
Really?
Yeah, that
Him getting thrown at the camera, I think is in the trailer. I'm
yes.
watching it now, but I remember watching the trailer and being like, "Oh, yo, that happens." Whoa.
Mm.
But
Interesting.
then it's
So
All right. Any other bro moments?
That's for bro moments.
Okay. Well, if that's it for the bro moments, let's move into facts with the bros.
Dude, this budget is insane. We've
Yeah.
talked about it in previous pods. But for this movie, it took only $15,000 to make this movie.
Yeah.
Insane. Opening weekend, it made $77,000. Gross for U.S. and Canada made $107 million. Gross for worldwide was $193.3 million.
It's crazy. Like almost $200 million
It's a
you
total
said
profit.
15,000.
15,000.
from a
So
$15,000 budget.
total profit. Let me take off 15,000 off of this worldwide real quick. Put you at 30. So it's $193,300,800.
Yeah,
Total profit.
I saw a record too that this is like, I think behind Blair Witch Project is one of the most profitable movies ever made.
Which is insane. But also what's insane was this movie only took 10 days to film.
Yeah,
It's not really that hard.
yeah. I will say there were some aspects where I was wondering like, how did they do that? How did they film it? Like especially like where she gets dragged and you don't see anything like dragging her
True.
physically.
Or
Yeah.
the
Or like
footsteps.
or like how do they get the footprints to appear? Or how did they get the Ouija board to do what it did, you
Yep.
know, without anything being there? Like,
Yeah.
was it like magnets that they used? Like, how did they control it? You know, things like that. That whenever I was watching these things, I was like, man, whoever like was in charge of doing all of these, you know, shots and setting everything up the way that they did, like to do it in 10 days and on a $15,000 budget is incredibly creative, and like you know exactly what it is that you want,
Yeah.
which is pretty impressive, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
That's true.
But
I had seen a fact that kind of lends to such a small budget. The movie was filmed in the director's own house.
yep.
His own house. I think I read another fact where like he had gotten the house months before that ready for this film. Like the walls supposedly were blank. He didn't have much on the walls, so he got it ready for this film.
That's crazy.
And that must have saved quite a bit of money.
Yeah, I even saw too that the two people that appear in the film, they go by the same names in real life actually. So Katie is played by Katie Featherston, and then Mika is played by Mika Sloat, however you pronounces it.
Sure.
They only received $500 each for their performance in the film, and then due to the success of the film, they renegotiated afterwards.
Oh yeah, I
the
imagine
amount.
like
How much
seeing
did they
just
get,
the box
bruh?
office week
I don't-
after week growing and growing. They'd be like, "Bro, I only got
I only got
$500."
$500 for this, and they're gonna get almost $200 million.
Yeah, I'd be fighting.
Yeah,
I'd be fighting my way to get more
I
money.
would too.
That's crazy.
Dude, it blows my mind that Steven Spielberg had to stop the movie halfway through.
Yeah, I read that.
You think that's another reason why it was so popular? It's because you heard that.
Because a name like that.
Got spooked. Yeah.
But shouldn't they have to say something about the movie if a name like that got spooked of a movie?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It has some credit behind it.
Definitely. I had also seen too that during like the first test screenings of the film that people would leave the theater. And originally the cast thought that this was because the film wasn't going over well with the audiences, but they ended up discovering that people were leaving because they couldn't handle the intensity of the film.
Just too scared.
Yeah, they were just too scared of it, and they ended up leaving and walking out. They didn't want to finish it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That shows. I guess it had.
Yeah. So think about this. That coupled with like all of these things were like, oh, even Steven Spielberg didn't want to finish it. You know, like
Hype.
there's this lore that starts getting built up about like this movie. And, you know, if you're like really in the trenches in like the horror film scene and you're hearing about this film that's like supposed to be so scary that people can't even finish it, you're going to tell your friends.
Yeah.
And your friends are going to tell your friends and be like, dude, have you heard of this movie? It's supposed to be so scary you can't even finish watching it. Blah, blah, blah. And that's just going to build the hype and keep building it until everyone and their mom goes and sees it, you know? Like, I think of, this is kind of the same lines of, like, horror aspect things. But, like, whenever we were in high school, these are still huge, but, like, haunted house type things, like, in, you know, the month of October.
Oh, there's still
when you go to, like ones near locally to us were, like, Frightmare Farms or Hobbs Grove or, what's another one?
I forget the
Yeah.
name of it.
But essentially, you know, you go to like the haunted corn maze things, and it's like a walkthrough, and people jump out and scare you, and there's people dressed up and all this stuff. It's like a big thing. I remember in high school hearing about one where like it's in LA somewhere, and you have to sign a waiver where the people can like physically touch you. And like they have like videos of it on YouTube where like people are like literally getting tortured, and like getting drowned by people, and like locking them in chairs and putting them like in like claustrophobic spaces and all this stuff. Like, and you're paying for it. And
that's that's freaky.
And I remember hearing that as a kid and being like, "Well, that's insane." And like when I heard it, then I told it to somebody else. And then that person told it to another person.
Word of mouth.
You know, and it's just that word of mouth thing where you get this like insane like lore that just pops up out of nowhere behind it, and like all of a sudden everyone knows about it and what this thing is. I feel like Paranormal Activity kind of had the same thing.
Yeah,
you know?
It's definitely a two-edged sword though.
Yeah,
because you get this hype that builds, and you get people to go, and you know you make a lot of money, but if it doesn't meet these insanely high expectations of the scariest movie of all time, then you're gonna give it a 1 or a 2 because it's all my buddies crap their pants, and here I am thinking it's boring, you know, and totally negating all of the good aspects. They just think it didn't meet the expectation that they set for me, therefore it sucks. Which is what I'm noticing.
I also was kind of blown away by this fact here, actually. So apparently, is DreamWorks a part of Paramount?
I think so, yes. I think
it would make sense in this aspect then. But apparently, DreamWorks wanted to remake the movie with a bigger budget and better known actors, and then release the film rather than release the film as it was whenever they got their hands on it. And then they wanted to use the original cut of the film as a DVD extra. But the director ended up fighting for it and saying, like, I think it's important that that unknowns get cast as the actors and get to be shown, because then it will make the film feel more real. Like if we get some guy in here that's, you know, Brad Pitt.
Dude, if it was a name actor that I knew.
Is owned by DreamWorks. Or Paramount
owns DreamWorks.
No, DreamWorks was purchased by Paramount. So Paramount bought DreamWorks.
Okay. So yeah, they were like wanting to recast it and reshoot the whole movie with a bigger budget and all this stuff. So.
Dude.
It would have broken the realism, I think.
It would have.
Like imagine someone like Tobey Maguire being in the film.
Being
you know, and being Mika.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's no way.
If it's someone that I could easily recognize, then I would like imagine Scarlett Johansson and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
I think of them two, and if I watch that, I'm like, there's no way I'm being scared because I know these people.
Yeah.
Like it loses a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then we previously talked about 3 endings, or we talked about
Yes.
2 endings. We had the theatrical ending and the original ending that you had mentioned, but I had read that there were 4 endings planned, 3 of which
That's
were
kind of
shot.
crazy.
There's one that I prefer.
Okay,
So
I remember
so-
seeing all 3.
okay.
So the original one I think is a lot more interesting.
I agree.
In that the original ending is actually Katie waking up, standing by the bed, and then going downstairs, and she calls Mika in a panic like she does in the theatrical cut. But whenever Mika goes down screaming and worrying, we hear him freaking out, and then everything goes quiet. And then someone starts going up the stairs. It's revealed to be Katie. She has a bloody shirt and a bloody knife in hand.
Yeah, the knife.
And then she sits by the bed rocking back and forth for hours that end up going by pretty quickly. And then her friend ends up coming over to visit. And whenever she comes into the house, we hear her downstairs freaking out about Mika being dead on the floor. And then she ends up leaving. And then the police arrive at the house.
Yeah.
They see the body. They go upstairs. They find Katie up there. She, snaps out of her thing. And she ends up panicking, asking, "Where's Mika?" And when the police tell her to drop the knife, she ends up not doing it. And then they kill her.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like the much more interesting ending, in my opinion. I think it could have left the Paranormal Activity like name in good graces, because now it's just been run into the ground with like 6 other movies.
Yeah.
But then the second one is the theatrical cut, which is the one that we got, which is Mika
Not-
dying and then
Gets thrown at the camera
thrown-
and she sniffs him.
Right, exactly. And then the third one being the alternate ending, which is this one is kind of wild.
Yeah.
It's similar to the original ending, but
And this
it's
is the one that I prefer.
and it's up until Katie kills Mika downstairs. But after she does that, she comes back up all bloody and like closes the door behind her, and she approaches the camera and then freaking yeets her own throat with a knife that she killed Mika with, and then that's how the film ends.
I think I prefer that ending.
Yeah. And then I had read that there was a 4th one that was planned but didn't end up actually being shot.
This is brutal.
And I think this one would have been really good too as well. But this ending was actually planned where the possessed version of Katie would corner Mika and then bludgeon him to death with his camera that he like loves so much. And then the viewers would watch from the camera's perspective as he would like be killed with it.
I want to watch this.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
It's ironic too, because the thing that he's trying to capture this thing
Is
It's
now
with the
killing
camera,
him.
and now
Yeah.
it's what's killed him.
Yeah, I think that is like a really good ending actually.
It's interesting.
But I guess it proves to be complicated, and like it was hard to film, and then not to mention pretty brutal as well. So the director ended up never actually even shooting it, but it was an idea in his head.
Yeah.
I think it was a really cool idea.
I think all of the other endings are better than the one we got.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have
unfortunately.
Have you seen any of the other ones? You said you watched them,
I
right?
watched the 3 that are out
Which
there.
one do you prefer?
I prefer the police one. I just think it's a more fitting end, because we had already seen her get possessed once and then get snapped out of it and not really remember. So to see it again but in a more threatening context makes more
Yeah.
sense. And her snapping out of it and not understanding what's happening and then getting shot,
Yeah.
it's a, I don't know, it just feels like a nice conclusion to her end.
Yeah.
Rather than like her just like smiling at the camera, it just doesn't. It just
Do you
feels a
know-
little bit more.
I like the third one though. I think the third one works very well too, though.
Her slitting her own throat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's like the demon got his job accomplished, done. He got her.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm too fond of the whole breaking of the fourth wall when she looks into camera. Like, she's looking at us.
Yeah.
It feels like that's a little bit like,
And she's like this.
I'm looking at you like I'm trying to scare you right now. And it kind
Yeah.
of feels like it's trying a little too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get that.
I get
So-
that too.
All right. Is that it for facts?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. If that's it for the facts, then let's move into what didn't work. I have to say, I kind of already mentioned not understanding Mika's motivations. The writing there just doesn't really do it for me.
No.
And like I feel like they almost maybe try to like make Mika a fence setter, and like he doesn't know like what side to stand on.
Yeah.
So like he sits there and like bounces between both parks, and it doesn't work like that. Like you have to give your character a solid stance on a subject and make them stay that way, or if you're going to make them jump to the other side, there needs to be an arc
Mhm.
for it to make sense, you know? And like I don't feel like there is one here for him. It just doesn't make sense for me. And I like found myself being frustrated by like his hesitancy to believe, but then like actively being like okay, what am I saying here? His hesitancy to believe in the paranormal frustrates me because he like actively goes out of his way to like crap on all of it and, you know, provoke the spirit and do all this stuff, but then is so open and willing to going and buying this like however much set to like try to capture anything that he possibly can. You know, it just didn't, I don't know. It didn't really make sense to me. I was kind of frustrated by it.
Yeah. He's just a frustrating character in general. Just, yeah. He's shallow. He's annoying, man. I would feel like if he was a little bit more supportive, I feel like I could root for them a lot more.
Yeah.
And it also comes down to some of the decisions they make, too, I think are just, they're just not really real.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say again, is that I think the writing is formulaic.
Yes.
Like, even in the event of like the scares, like the first one is little, and the next one
a little bit bigger.
And then a little bit bigger after that one.
And then
and then it starts getting even menacing.
Chaos.
And like by the end of it, it's like, oh, well, now someone has to die. You know, and it just kind of I could see it coming from a mile away.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it just felt like I was being spoon fed the entire time, the story, and I don't know. I just found it being like, I'm an adult. This movie's rated R. You know, I should be able to understand it.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't be able to. I shouldn't feel like someone's being like, okay, now here comes the real scary part.
Yeah.
You know.
It doesn't feel authentic. You know what I mean? Because it's like even when you get that first little glimpse of Paranormal Activity, like when the door closes and then opens, there is no wind. He makes sure to mention there's no wind. All the windows are closed. This is some Paranormal Activity stuff. You would think to yourself, I mean, like they try to mention like, oh, even if she leaves, it would still follow her. But you'd still try to get as many people around you as possible. She's got that friend. She's got the family members. I would immediately go and surround myself with people I love and care about.
Yeah.
People who could try to protect me, try to support me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem right to me that they would notice all this stuff and be like, yeah, we're still going to sleep here, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't gel with me. Like, I feel like any basic human that has authentic proof
is like, I'm out.
Yo, I'm out.
I'm getting out of here.
I'm going to my local church. I'm going to my family.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere that more people than just me and my husband can see this thing.
Yeah.
Because it would make, I think when you have more people, doesn't this make sense? When you have more people around, a ghost is less likely to show itself.
Yeah.
Like imagine if you surround yourself in a gymnasium with 150 people. Do you think a ghost would show itself?
You would think no.
It wants to drag you away, get you alone, and then do its business. I just don't imagine you sleeping in a gym like in the middle of 1,000 people, or even like daytime. It would do it. It would do anything. So that's my thought process. Like, why would you stay here? Why would you, continue to make these decisions? Why would you, after the first night, just call the guy or call your friend to come over and sleep here? Like it's hard for me to believe these characters and the decisions they make.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't we just shoot it? Did they ever think about that? Why don't we just nuke it?
Yeah. Yes. Be proactive. Put a cap can on that door.
Yeah, get it to walk in from there.
Seriously. What about you? Do you love this movie? You hate it or what?
This movie. There is some parts that I didn't like, and I feel like I already said what I didn't like. And it's just because there's some parts in this movie that just doesn't make it feel real. Again, like the flower. I can think of so many things after that I would want to do now that this flower thing is working. Oh, I'm gonna dump flour here and just, I don't know. I'm not scared in this movie. I will say that this movie just makes me feel like I'm on edge. And I think that's something that I didn't like because this is supposed to be a scary movie. I remember it being scary, but I'm I'm gonna sleep tonight like a baby. I ain't gonna be scared. If I were to watch Blair Witch Project, I will sleep with my TV on. It's just like that. But this movie just wasn't scary. It just made me it just made me put me on edge because I just wanted to know what was happening. I was just like, I don't know. I'm just jabbling. I'm just mumbling now.
I get you.
I understand. Anything else for what didn't work?
No, I mean, it's a very
Run of the mill.
Yeah.
run-of-the-mill movie, and you kind of just have the ghost and the characters. And
Yeah.
one of the characters sucked, so
Yeah.
3 characters. That's all you get.
Yeah.
pretty much.
All right. Well, what did work then?
willing to say this movie does not feel like it's an hour and a half. I like it for this movie because I could be like, oh, you want to watch like a movie? Put it on. Scary movie? Put it on.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna know. Background noise.
Yeah.
An hour and a half. It did not feel like that. I think I started watching it like 4, and then by the time it was already 5:30, I said, "Holy cow, it's 5:30!" Like this movie was quick.
Yeah, it
And
wasn't really a chore to get through.
No, and I kind of like that about it.
Nice. Yeah, I have to say too as well. I think that the editing is done so cleverly, and had it not been done the way that it was, this movie would not have worked. And I also do think that the movie truly does feel like a home edited video, like in the same vein of the Blair Witch Project, where you've got like hard cuts and like things that like don't necessarily need to be in the film, but like you've got people that like, you know, they're hanging out with one another, eating dinner, talking, like playing guitar. Like it feels very home movie, which I do like, and it makes that realism factor feel that much more real. And then I also even like the Windows Movie Maker like transitions where it's just like simple little fade outs.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and like it feels like someone put all these clips together, edited them in such a way to like, you know, make it feel like it was like a documentary style, and someone did it on like Windows XP.
No, yeah.
You know?
One of the facts, I thought you guys actually would have written it down, but all the special effects were practical, and he did it and enhanced it on his PC.
Yeah.
Like
That's cool.
that's
Like,
cool. Like
yeah.
that means that like one of us could do that, dude. If we really like,
wanted to, yeah.
could, like, yeah.
I agree. One of the things that really I liked about this movie was the sound design.
Yeah.
I
think it's really smart. The entire like
I
like,
love that.
The hum and
I
stuff.
love that like low pitched hum, ominous like, and when you hear that, you immediately know
Something's up.
it's
happening.
there.
Yeah.
The presence is here.
Yeah.
And they do it often, and every time I hear it, I'm like, and I'm immediately scanning what's moving,
Yeah.
what's happening,
Okay,
what am I
Lion.
hearing?
Yeah.
I'm serious. It's like what, just that small little sound, that sound cue. My attention tightened.
You said okay, lion. Hit him with the lion scan. Going drone incoming. Don't move.
the demon just
Good. That's so funny.
that's the still that you get in the pictures, or you're looking at the tape and it's just line scanning and coming.
No, but it was something that really worked for me, and every time it came on, I was like, yes. Like I really appreciated that. It was a very minor sound, but it's something that had a very strong presence, and it made me
grabs
feel.
your attention.
It does. It made me feel like on edge just hearing that noise.
Yeah. I think that plays into my last piece that does work for me as well, where I think that the anticipation of something happening throughout the night and like the tension that is used throughout this film is used so incredibly well. And it's due in part to like the sound design, but also like the static camera. And like I even enjoy the aspects of the editing where like they fast up, like, you know, they'll speed up time because like nothing really happens, but then as soon as it stops, you're like, okay, something's gonna happen.
Yeah,
like this is a moment where like something happens that I have to pay attention.
It's a
to
timestamp you should remember.
Yeah,
and
and
you're just like, oh, crap.
Yeah, and so like I have to say that they really do play into a lot of the tension here, and they use it to their benefit.
Yeah.
And it is really intriguing to see what it is that's going to happen, because like you, whenever that sound cue comes on or whenever the visual cue happens, I'm like, okay, where am I looking? What do I need to pay attention to see what's going to happen now?
Mm-hmm.
And then, when it finally does happen, I'm like, oh crap, here we go. This is going on. And then, it will fade into the next day or something like that, and they'll be like, what happened? So.
Yeah, I think I have to 100% agree with you with that. So smart.
Okay. Anything else for what did work here?
I think that's it for
The
me.
sound design and the camera work are really what sells this movie for me. So
Okay.
Yeah, I guess there's some jump scares that work,
Mm.
and specifically I want to say the one when she shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That one will get me every time I think,
Mm.
because it's such like a moment that you don't think something's gonna happen because something just happened,
Yeah.
that it gets me.
Okay.
So I think the scaring factor works, or the
Alright.
tension, like you said, works.
Okay. Who wins this movie?
The demon, Katie.
yeah, I've got to say Katie
Yeah, I was
Featherston.
gonna say Katie too.
Yeah, she goes through the most of it.
Yeah, true. Any themes?
No.
Mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, that's it.
I don't really know.
Let me see what
anything else.
ChatGPT says.
Do not go
Don't
against
play.
the demon.
Yeah,
don't fight.
don't play with demons. This is literally the movie of F around and you find out.
Yeah,
Like
the more you F around, the more you find out.
yeah, yeah.
It really is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. Respect your significant other.
Yeah, seriously. Listen to them.
yeah.
Cherish their opinion.
Yeah. They tell you that they've been struggling with this their whole life and they just want to let it go.
Yeah.
Maybe just let it go.
Yeah.
Why is ChatGPT so like? I said, what is the film? What is the theme of the movie? Paranormal Activity. The film explores themes of fear, vulnerability, and the unknown as it follows the couple's attempts to document and understand the strange events happening in their house.
Mm.
It plays on the fear of the supernatural and the idea that our homes, which are supposed to be the places of safety and sacred, can be sites of terror when
Yeah.
invading by other outer worldly forces.
Interesting.
Additionally, the film also delves into the idea of a camera as a tool to capture and reveal the unseen, as the characters use video recording equipment to document the paranormal activity.
I didn't even think about the whole like house as a stronghold, house as a safe place being intruded on.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Thanks,
The overall
ChatGPT.
theme of Paranormal Activity revolves around the horror and suspense generated by the presence of supernatural entities and
Yeah.
psychological toll it takes on the character.
Yeah, just kind of your just basic.
ChatGPT for
kind
the
of.
win.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. If that's it for the themes, what are we rating this? We give it a 5.
I'm gonna give it a 6. I think I remember I gave Blair Witch Project a 7,
Okay.
and I think Blair Witch Project is a little bit better than this. So this is a 6.
I think I'm gonna give this a 6. I gave Blair Witch a 6 as well, and I feel relatively equal on both of them.
Okay.
I respect them.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for this episode. So if you guys stuck all the way to the end, we appreciate you. If you did stick all the way to the end, why don't you leave us a like? Hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Leave us a comment as well, and hit the bell notification so you're updated whenever we upload. And if you're listening on the audio platforms, leave us a rate and review. Let us know what you're thinking of the pod, how we can make things better, what we can not only improve upon, but maybe things that you would like to see us do, film recommendations, things of that nature. Those platforms are a method of contact for you guys to let us know what you're thinking. And if you don't want to do that on such a public platform, you can click into our episode descriptions and reach out to us either via email, Instagram, Letterboxd, or anything of that nature in there, and let us know what you're thinking through those platforms as well. So, as always, we're going to reveal the next pick for our next episode, which is my pick. And we've talked a lot about, or at least Abe did. We talked about like this movie not being scary, and I think he might be disappointed. by this next pick that we got, because I would argue that the film isn't necessarily like scary, but it is a horror staple. Like, this is a movie that has influenced so many horror films throughout the years. It was made in the 60s, I think, and is directed by the great Alfred Hitchcock. We're talking about Psycho. And this is where we get
Norman Bates. The
Yep, the iconic shower scene, you know, and all that stuff. And it's currently streaming on Peacock and Philo TV. So if you have those subscriptions, then you can check it out there. If you don't, you'll have to rent it, unfortunately. I do have it physically, so I'll be watching it there and letting you guys borrow it if you guys need it. But this is a movie that I was so intrigued by as a kid whenever I found out about it, because I used to watch the show that was based on like a prequel of the film called Bates Motel.
Yes. Isn't there a more recent one as well?
Yeah, it came out in like 2013.
Right.
And I remember watching it and being like, oh yeah, this show is pretty good. And then I come to find out like, oh, it's based on this old movie called Psycho. And then I went and watched the movie with my dad, and
Oh, not with your mom?
no. No, not that one, because I'm not as in love with my mom as Norman Bates is.
Freak, huh?
But yeah, I went and watched Psycho with my dad, and I remember really enjoying it, and you know, obviously not being scared of it because it came out in the 60s, and you know, I can understand how somebody in the 60s would be terrified of this, because they'd never seen somebody have their privacy invaded, like on screen. You know, you're in a vulnerable position in the shower, you know, at a motel, thinking that you're good, and then all of a sudden someone's in your room, or someone's looking at you, or you know, you're not safe in an area that you once thought you were. Right. And while Abe was talking about how the movie was not scary, I was thinking about like, what if we took somebody from the 1960s that saw Psycho for the first time and were able to show them Paranormal Activity? Like, do you think that they would freaking lose their mind?
They are pooping everything that is in their intestines and saying they're never leaving their house and they're not going to talk to anybody, I feel like, because...
Yeah. And so that also leads me to think, like, are horror movies just kind of like products of our time? You know? Because, like, one thing that's scary for one generation might not be scary for the next, and so on and so forth.
If someone's coming at me when I'm in the shower, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that I'm scared.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember watching this film for the first time, and like watching that scene and knowing that it was iconic, like knowing that things that I had watched had been influenced by that, and then going and taking a shower afterwards, me looking out the corner of my eye and be like, is there anything there? Or like, you know, going into the bathroom and like going whoosh, like looking in there to make sure there's nothing in there. Yeah. You know, it's something that I've always held near and dear to my heart, and I truly do love Psycho. I think it's a really good film, and I don't believe you guys have watched it. Right?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, just to let you guys know, it is in black and white. Yeah. Due to the time period that it was filmed in, but I don't think that makes it any less good. And I'm excited to hear what you guys think about it.
I'm very excited. I've never seen it.
Tune in next week to hear what we have to say about Psycho. As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.